Good morning, students. Welcome back to the Orchard Grammar School Mathematics class. Today, we will be learning about column subtraction for whole number. In this lesson, you will be able to learn about column subtraction, including where caring is needed. You will be able to solve problems using column subtraction. Let's solve some subtraction questions. 7 minus 3, we get 4. 1 minus 0, we get 1. 10 minus 4, we get 6. 17 minus 3, we get 14. 19 minus 4, we get 15. Can you now solve some of more questions mentally? Good job, my students. Now there is a challenge for you. Here are two questions. Can you tell me that why these two calculations will have the same answer? What is column subtraction? When we cannot work out any two numbers mentally, we can subtract those numbers with the help of column subtraction. Keep in mind that the units are lined up vertically, the tens are lined up vertically, and so on. For example, we want to subtract 253 from 9857. In this question, you have to begin with the units column. After units column, you will go with the tens column. So 5 minus 5 is equals to 0. 8 minus 2 is equals to 6. 9 minus 0 is equals to 9. So you get the answer 9604. Column subtraction where borrowing is required. When subtracting, if a smaller number in a column is over a bigger number, we must use borrowing. Here is an example. In this, you have to start with the units column. 7 is larger than 4, so we are not going to take 7 from 4. Instead, we borrow from the 3 which is in the tens column. This 3 becomes a 2 and the 4 becomes 14. Similarly, we do not subtract 5 from 2 as it is a bigger number. Instead, we borrow from the 8. Now this 8 becomes a 7 and the 2 becomes a 12. Similarly, we don't do 7 minus 9. So you have to borrow from the 9 which becomes an 8 and it makes 7 into a 17. So the answer we get is 5877. Often, borrowing becomes difficult when the number which we are trying to borrow from is a 0. Now see what's happened next. As you know, 5 is larger than 1, so the 1 must borrow from the digit in the tens column. This digit is a 0 and has nothing to lend. So what can we do now? Instead, the 0 in the tens column can try to borrow from its left-hand neighbor, but unfortunately, this is also a 0. So, however, the 0 in the hundreds column can borrow from its left-hand neighbor, that is, the 1 in the thousands column. This 1 becomes a 0 and a 1 is placed next to the 0 in the hundreds column, which makes it a 10. The 0 in the tens column now has a left-hand neighbor that it can borrow from. So we can cross out the 10, replace it with the 9 and put a 1 next to the 0 in the tens column that makes it a 10, and so on. So finally, we can easily solve this question and get the answer, which is 526. Practice time. Let's practice some of the subtraction questions. I hope you would be able to do it very easily now. Good job. Now, let's use inverse operations to check the answers. Keep in mind, you will start the subtraction from the units column. 3 minus 0 is 3, 9 minus 4 is 5, 6 minus 3 is 3. Good job, my students. I hope this lesson was easier for you to understand. See you in the next lesson, students. Goodbye.